There comes a moment in every life when God whispers something so profound, so stirring, that it stops us in our tracks. A moment when your spirit feels the tremble of heaven leaning in your direction. And today, if you are listening with an open heart, I believe that whisper is coming straight to you. Trust me, I'm about to open new doors for you. Some of you have been standing in front of closed doors for so long that you've begun to believe they are permanent. You've knocked, you've prayed, you've waited, and nothing has moved. The silence has tested you, the delays have frustrated you, and the disappointments have drained you. But hear this, with every part of your being, closed doors are not signs of God's absence. They are signs of God's preparation. When God closes a door, it is never to imprison you. It is to position you for something greater than what you could see on the other side. You might feel forgotten, but you are not. You might feel delayed, but you are right on schedule. You might feel like everything is falling apart, but heaven is aligning everything perfectly. God has a way of working behind the curtain in the details you cannot see, arranging moments you haven't reached yet, preparing blessings you haven't touched yet, and shaping breakthroughs you haven't even imagined. I remember hearing a story of a man who lost everything. His business collapsed, his family struggled, and his sense of purpose faded. He said every day felt like walking in a tunnel without a light. He prayed for God to restore what he lost, but nothing changed for a long time. One day, in quiet desperation, he said, "Lord, if you still have a plan for me, show me." And what he didn't know was that at that very moment, God was already preparing someone who would step into his life, offer him an opportunity, and give him a chance he never saw coming. Months later, that door opened, not because he pushed harder, but because God moved his hand. And when God opens a door, no man, no season, no darkness can shut it. Some of you are praying for God to bring back what you lost. But hear this, God is not interested in taking you backward. He is preparing something ahead of you, something better, something higher, something bigger, something aligned with who you are becoming, not who you used to be. When God tells you to trust Him, it's because He knows what's waiting on the other side. You may be asking for restoration, but God is preparing elevation. There is a passage in Scripture that tells of a man who sat by a gate called Beautiful, yet his situation was anything but beautiful. He was carried there daily, stuck, limited, unable to move forward. But one ordinary day, God sent help that would transform his entire life. He expected coins but received healing. He expected a gift but received freedom. He expected a moment but received a future. That's how God works. He gives more than you expect, more than you ask for, more than you believe is possible. When God is ready to open a new door for you, it will surpass what you have been praying for. And perhaps the greatest challenge is this: trusting God when absolutely nothing makes sense. Trusting when doors stay shut. Trusting when prayers feel unanswered. Trusting when all you can see is delay. Trusting when fear whispers louder than faith. But let me tell you this with passion in my heart: every delay in your life has purpose. Every no is protecting you. Every closed door is divine direction. And every season of waiting is filled with preparation for a door only God can open. You see, trust is not about understanding every detail. Trust is about believing that the one who holds your future is greater than what you've gone through. Greater than the storms that tried to break you. Greater than the betrayal that wounded you. Greater than the failures that discouraged you. Greater than the fear that tries to cripple you. And greater than the closed doors that made you question everything. Some of you are standing at the edge of a new chapter, but fear is whispering, "What if it doesn't work?" Let me tell you something with fire in my voice. What if it does? What if the next door God opens for you leads to the peace you've prayed for, the breakthrough you've cried for, the purpose you've longed for? What if the very thing you thought was the end of your story is actually the beginning of the greatest season of your life? God never asks you to trust Him because He wants to take something from you. He asks you to trust Him because He is preparing to give you something better. When He says, I'm about to open new doors for you, heaven itself is already in motion. Angels are already moving. Opportunities are already forming. People you've never met are being positioned to bless you. Situations you've never imagined are being aligned for you. There will come a moment, and it may be sooner than you think, when everything will suddenly shift. A phone call, a conversation, an unexpected encounter, a breakthrough you could never have orchestrated yourself. That is the kind of door God opens. Not the kind you build with your own strength, but the kind only His hand can unlock. So lift your head, strengthen your heart, wipe your tears. You are not stuck. You are being prepared. You are not forgotten. You are being positioned. You are not behind. You are being set up for something divinely timed. God is not finished with your story. In fact, He is just getting started. And when the door opens, and it will, you will look back and realize that every moment of waiting was necessary. Every tear had purpose. Every delay carried wisdom. Every closed door protected you. And every season that felt like silence was filled with God's careful, loving preparation for what is coming next. Right now, heaven is whispering to your spirit, trust me. I'm about to open new doors for you. And if you dare to believe that, your entire life is about to change. The truth is, God begins preparing new doors long before we ever realize we need them. Long before the burden becomes heavy, long before the path becomes unclear, long before you look at your life and whisper, Lord, what's next for me? God is already at work behind the scenes, shaping opportunities, aligning people, preparing places, and crafting moments that will one day collide with your destiny. We often walk through life believing we are waiting on God, but more often than not, God is preparing us for what He has already set in motion. Faith isn't simply believing God exists. Faith is trusting that He is doing far more than your eyes can see and your mind can comprehend. It is the quiet confidence that even in silence, God is speaking. Even in stillness, God is moving. And even in delay, God is building something that has your name written on it. Think for a moment about the doors God has already opened for you. Doors you didn't earn. Doors you didn't expect. Doors you didn't even pray for. Some of the greatest blessings in your life came not because you figured out the path, but because God in His mercy made a way. There were times when you didn't have the strength, yet He carried you. Times when you didn't have the answers, yet He guided you. Times when you were confused, burdened, or broken, yet God opened a door of peace, a door of hope, a door of direction. If He has done it before, He can surely do it again. And this time, He is preparing a door that is bigger, brighter, and more significant than anything you have ever walked through. But the challenge is this: we often grow anxious when we cannot see the door yet. We start to fear the unknown, worry about the future, and wonder whether God still remembers us. We try to force solutions, push our own plans, or cling to what is familiar because uncertainty makes us uncomfortable. Yet the very moments that feel like uncertainty to us are often moments of divine construction. God builds in silence, He prepares in secret, and He reveals in perfect timing. Just because you don't see the door right now doesn't mean God isn't building it. Just because you don't feel progress doesn't mean progress isn't being made. He is the master architect who never stops working on the blueprint of your life. And every time God prepares a new door, He also prepares you to walk through it. Sometimes He strengthens your faith so you can handle what's ahead. Sometimes He removes certain people so you won't be held back. Sometimes He closes old opportunities so you won't settle for less than what He has planned. Every delay has purpose. Every disappointment has meaning. Every closed door has divine intention. God is not punishing you, He is positioning you. He is shaping you, stretching you, and preparing you so that when the new door opens, you will be ready to walk boldly through it with faith, confidence, and gratitude. When God begins to open new doors, He often starts by shifting something deep within us long before we ever see anything change on the outside. Many people pray for a new opportunity, a new season, a new blessing, but they don't realize that the preparation begins in the heart. God starts by stirring a holy discomfort, a restlessness that refuses to let you settle where you are. It's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something greater is calling you forward. What used to satisfy you suddenly feels too small. What you once tolerated, you can't tolerate anymore. What you once thought was your final chapter now feels like a place you've outgrown. That stirring is the gentle voice of God saying, prepare yourself. I'm about to move. And when God stirs that change inside you, He does it with purpose. He removes old desires that kept you anchored in the familiar, and He plants new ones that pull you toward your destiny. You may feel confused, wondering why things don't feel the same, but that's because you're no longer meant to remain where you once were. God doesn't allow internal shifts without divine intention. He's working in your spirit, aligning your steps with what He has planned. Even when you don't have the full picture, He's shaping your thoughts, strengthening your courage, and igniting a deeper hunger for what He has prepared. That inner transformation is the first sign that God is opening a new door. Sometimes that preparation comes through challenges. God allows certain relationships to fade, not because they were bad, but because they can't walk with you into the next season. He allows opportunities to close, not to punish you, but to redirect you. He allows disappointments to happen, not to break your spirit, but to break your dependence on anything other than Him. These moments are uncomfortable, but they are not signs of defeat. They are signs of transition. When God is moving you forward, He often clears the ground before building something new. The shaking is not meant to destroy you, but to free you from what can no longer hold you. And while all this is happening, God is testing your trust. He wants to see if you will cling to what He's removing or surrender to what He's preparing. He wants to see if your faith is tied to comfort or to Him. Many people lose their breakthrough because they hold too tightly to what is familiar. They pray for open doors, but keep their hands on the doorknobs of the past. And God is calling you to release what was so you can embrace what will be. The faith to let go is often the faith that positions you for the greatest blessings. As the inner shift grows stronger, you may find yourself feeling isolated. Not everyone around you will understand what God is doing within you. They may question your decisions, your dreams, or your direction. But inner transformation is rarely understood by those who were never meant to walk through the next door with you. God is pruning your surroundings so your focus can sharpen and your ears can tune into His voice. Isolation in a divine transition is not abandonment, it is preparation. God pulls you aside to pour into you, strengthen you, and make you ready for what comes next. And in that quiet place, God begins to rebuild your courage. He heals old wounds that would have weakened you. He restores confidence that life tried to diminish. He breathes life into dreams you buried under disappointment. He removes the weight of fear and replaces it with boldness. This is the season where God refines your identity, reminding you that you are chosen, capable, and covered. The world may not see what He is doing inside you, but He sees every tear, every prayer, every battle you've fought. He sees the steps you're taking to trust Him, even when nothing around you makes sense. He sees your willingness to follow Him beyond the familiar. And when God sees a heart that is surrendered, teachable, and expectant, He prepares it for the door He is about to open. There are moments in life when a door closes so firmly that it feels like the sound echoes through the very chambers of your soul. You prayed, you waited, you hoped, and yet the answer seemed to be a resounding no. And in that moment, confusion rises, disappointment settles in, and you begin to wonder if you misheard God, if you misunderstood His timing, or if somehow your faith wasn't enough. But what you must understand is that a closed door in the hands of God is not a rejection. It is a redirection, a holy pause, a divine preparation for something far greater than what you were reaching for. God never shuts a door without purpose, and He never blocks a pathway unless He is guiding you toward one that is safer, higher, and better aligned with the destiny He has written over your life. When God closes a door, it is often because He is working on something in you before He brings you to something for you. There are seasons where the Lord needs to strengthen your character, deepen your faith, refine your motives, and shape your heart so you can handle the blessings He intends to place in your hands. If He opens certain doors too soon, the weight of what's behind them might crush you instead of elevate you. What may feel like delay is often protection. What may seem like disappointment is often God's way of saying, I'm building you. I'm preparing you. Trust me. And while you're asking Him to open the next door, He's making sure that when that door swings wide, you'll walk through it with wisdom, humility, resilience, and the maturity needed to stay in the place He's bringing you into. Sometimes the closed door is meant to remove something from your life that cannot journey with you into your next season. There are relationships, habits, environments, and even versions of yourself that served a purpose in one chapter, but cannot remain in the next. God closes doors not to harm you, but to free you, to detach you from what would have hindered the blessing He has prepared. And in the moment, it might feel like loss, but in the long run, you will look back and see His mercy written all over it. The door wasn't closed to punish you, it was closed to position you. And while your heart may wrestle with the unknown, God is working behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet see. Closed doors force you to trust Him more deeply, to lean not on your own understanding, and to anchor your confidence in His faithfulness instead of your plans. They create a space where your prayers grow stronger, your dependence on Him grows deeper, and your spiritual vision becomes clearer. Through the disappointment, He is teaching you to recognize His voice. Through the waiting, He is teaching you perseverance. Through the stillness, He is teaching you discernment. Every closed door becomes a tool in His hands to mold you into the person who can carry the weight of the open doors He is preparing. Sometimes God brings us to a place where everything feels still, quiet, and even confusing, not because He has forgotten us, but because He is preparing something greater than we can see. There are moments in life when we look around and wonder why certain doors have closed, why certain opportunities slipped away, or why people we relied on suddenly walked out of our lives. In those moments, the human heart cries out for clarity, for assurance, for something we can hold on to. But often, God removes what we thought we needed so He can make room for what He has designed specifically for us. He closes doors not to punish us, but to protect us. And He delays answers not to frustrate us, but to develop us into the person who can carry the weight of the blessing He is preparing. There are times when God whispers to the soul, "Be still," because in the stillness He is strengthening foundations we didn't even know were weak. He is aligning circumstances, shifting hearts, and arranging divine connections that we would never have found on our own. And while we are wondering why nothing seems to be happening, heaven is busy working behind the scenes. What feels like silence is often the sound of God's preparation. What feels like delay is often divine timing at work. When God prepares a new door, it is never just another opportunity, It is a path into a different season, a higher level, a deeper calling. And preparation always comes before elevation. Sometimes God has to pull us out of familiar places so we don't settle for less than what He has planned. He sees the traps we never noticed, the dangers we never sensed, and the limits we never questioned. When He closes a door, it may shake us, but it saves us. When He stops us, it may confuse us, but it shields us. And when He says, wait, it may test us, but it grows us into someone who can step boldly into the next chapter without fear. He is preparing us not just for a breakthrough, but for sustainability, endurance, and strength. He is preparing us to walk through a door that requires more faith, more maturity, and more trust than the place we used to stand in. There are seasons when God allows discomfort because comfort can make us complacent. He lets certain things fall apart so we don't cling to what cannot carry us into the future. He stirs restlessness in our hearts because He knows we were not created to stay where we are. The discomfort is not a sign that God is distant. It is a sign that He is transitioning us. A butterfly cannot emerge from comfort. It must struggle out of the cocoon to gain its wings. In the same way, God uses pressure to prepare us, stretching us so we can grow into the doors He has prepared. And while we wait, He teaches us to trust Him more deeply. Trust is not built in moments of clarity, but in moments of uncertainty. It is in the quiet seasons that trust is strengthened. It is in the in between that faith matures. And it is in the unseen preparation that God shapes us into people who will recognize His hand, follow His voice, and step through the new doors He is opening with confidence and courage. When all is said and done, there comes a moment when the heart must decide whether it will cling to what is familiar or step forward into the unknown where God is calling. Every person reaches a point where yesterday's strength isn't enough for tomorrow's journey, and in that sacred space, God whispers, "Trust me." That whisper is not a suggestion. It is an invitation. It is a promise wrapped in grace. It is the voice of the one who has never failed, never stumbled, never broken a promise. He looks at you with eyes full of mercy and says, "I'm about to open new doors for you." And those doors are not made of earthly wood or earthly hinges. They are crafted by His sovereignty, timed by His wisdom, and placed by His hand. There are days when you feel forgotten, moments when prayers seem unanswered, nights when the silence feels heavy, but silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. God has been preparing things behind the scenes that you cannot see. He has been shaping you, strengthening you, maturing you, and sharpening you. He has been removing what would have harmed you and securing what will bless you. And while you wondered if He heard you, He was working on a future greater than the one you imagined. Every tear you cried, every battle you fought, every lonely hour, none of it was wasted. God gathers the fragments of your pain and turns them into the building blocks of your destiny. What lies ahead of you is not just another chapter, but a divine appointment. The doors God opens cannot be shut by people, circumstances, or fear. No opposition is strong enough to cancel God's intention. No setback is powerful enough to reverse His plan. The same God who parted seas, who moved mountains, who raised the dead, who calmed storms, that same God is standing with you now. And He is not asking you to understand the path. He is asking you to trust the one who leads. Trust is not passive. It is active. It is the decision to keep walking when your feet tremble. It is the choice to believe His voice over your circumstances. It is the inner resolve that says, God is with me, and that is enough. You may not feel ready, but God is ready. You may not see how, but God already knows how. You may not think you have what it takes, but God placed inside you everything required for this season. He does not call the equipped. He equips the called. And He is calling you into a new season of breakthroughs, divine connections, restored strength, fresh opportunities, and unexpected favor. What you thought was the end was only the preparation. What felt like loss was the clearing of space for something greater. What seemed like delay was God aligning things in perfect timing. So as you stand on the threshold of what comes next, lift your eyes, steady your heart, and open your hands. God is not done with you. He is not finished writing your story. And the next door He is about to open will reveal why every closed door behind you had to shut. Trust Him even now, especially now, because what He is preparing for you is more than you prayed for, more than you expected, and more than you imagined.